Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. If you're a longtime listener, you'll recognize Katherine. She doesn't really even need an introduction. I mean, this is her third time on, and you're almost going to get your jacket now. I think 4 times is when we start giving out jackets to people, just to be like, 4-time guests on the podcast. So, yeah, she's almost there, everyone. But, yeah, she's coming to us all the way up from Canada again, thank God we're talking right now in early May, because if I were to have her on a few months ago, I should say, we would just be super depressed and just waiting for the misery to end. But yeah, it's sunny here and it's sunny there, so yeah, it's great. But most importantly, Katherine, thank you so much for coming back on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me back on again today. That was a nice introduction. Thank you. Jacket size medium, maybe size large next time.
Well, you got to put on those 10 pounds of winter weight too. That's just a given, unfortunately, for where we live. But I mean, it's been August was the last time of 2021 that I had you on, so it's been a little bit over a year and a half. What have you been up to since then?
Oh, yes. That was our second interview. So last time since we talked, I competed in a beauty pageant. So I competed as Miss Alberta. That must have been a month. We talked after my pageant. That must have been it. I came in as 5th runner-up, so 6th place. North America beauty pageant as Miss Alberta. Otherwise, it was just back to a little bit of socializing, a little bit of some normality, and then back to building muscle was my primary focus. December is when I registered for this upcoming May's national bodybuilding competition with the MPAA. So it was just a couple months after the pageant. Great experience. We went to Florida. We stopped in Minnesota. So, of course, I had an opportunity to think about you. I'm like, hey, Ryan lives here.
What were you doing in Minnesota?
Just the layover.
Oh, okay. Yep. Well, that is actually, so you are, it's in Bloomington. So you were in the town that I live in then when you landed there.
Yeah, great.
Right by the Mall of America. Yep, the Minneapolis airport. It's I think it got rated the best in the nation. It's one of the good ones. But yeah, so many people just stop at that airport. It's ridiculous. Like I said, I dropped my brother off earlier this week to go to California, and it is a pain in the butt to drive in and out of that thing. But hey, you got to do it.
I got to do it. No, it was good. It was good at airport. So congratulations to them. And yeah, I was just at work one day, doing my programs, and I was thinking what I want to do next. And there is an international pro elite worlds competition coming up this October. So last October, that's what I decided that I wanted to do. I said I want to compete on the world stage, and I've been building towards that ever since. So come May, 2 weeks from today, is the pre-qualifier.
How has this prep been different from other preps? Because as we can see, you've definitely put on a lot of size since we last had you on. And it's, we've talked about it before when we've been talking on Instagram. What have you been doing to change things up?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking. So within this last year, I've been training my body differently and fueling it differently, but more so according to my female cycle. And the reason why that's really important is because I don't think a lot of women are familiar with how they can build muscle pertaining to certain, where they are in their cycle, or they're trying to build muscle during a time where your body's not going to be able to maintain that muscle. So for me, I've been working with a coach, Paul Taylor from Winnipeg. And he's been keeping me accountable for the muscle building process. In return, for me, I've just been really listening to my body, just taking into account, where I'm at in my cycle. Like during an ovulation phase, your body's going to be able to build muscle, like more muscle, and maintain that mass, versus the second part of the month is when you just try to burn that fat. And if my body says rest, I honor that rest period. And yeah, so far I've just been working with my body instead of against my body. And it's been just keeping my hormones nice and level, my energy levels up, and it makes being at the gym just that much more funner, and I get to work hard and really push my limits.
So in the times when you are in the muscle building phase, is that your time that you really just kind of go wild and just really make sure you get your workouts in?
Yeah, I get my workouts in, and more importantly, fuel those workouts. I count my calories. I count all my calories. And I don't take for granted those days where I'm striving to get 3,000.
Are you basically force feeding at that point? Like, honestly, because I know some people really struggle with those last few calories.
Yeah, it can become cumbersome. Um, but, when, to the average person, maybe not like your bodybuilding um, guests, to the average person, it's hard, but it doesn't have to be that hard. It's actually amazing on how many calories you can consume if you're just being aware of what you're eating. Yeah.
Where are you at with cardio wise now? Because you're at the last 2 weeks right now. I can imagine just thinking about that type of cardio is giving me a headache.
I have been getting pretty lean on very minimum cardio. I think for now, just for that maintenance phase and just making sure that I'm actually, uh, burning off that fat, shedding off that extra fat. I'm going to aim for about half an hour to 45 minutes. Yeah, but right now I'm looking pretty lean. I'm feeling pretty good. That last week, I'm gonna get some water manipulation going on. So I actually feel really confident going into this show coming up.
I myself have started my nightly walks as well this week since it was May 1st and it's gotten a little bit warmer now. So I always go out and I always make sure to get my 10 to 15,000 steps in at least 5 times a week. Now I might not do it that much on the weekends, or I might, just do it one day a weekend, but now the blisters are coming back everyone on my feet. So now I got to figure out ways for that. I mean, I overdid it. It's like I always do everything over when I first do it. So it's all about figuring. Now I just got to get the band-aids out and just suck it up, everyone. But I always I walk up hills and I do all that stuff. So that doesn't really do the best thing for it too. But what do you got for me?
Have you considered investing in a bike?
I love biking. I do go biking a lot, but it has to be warm enough where you're not freezing. So like when it's like in the 50s and 60s, I'll do walks. But then when it gets hotter than that, then I go biking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Just
I might
looking
just
at.
yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I might just do it every other day where I go on a walk one day and I go for a bike the other day. Yeah, no, trust me. I live right next to a nature park, so it's always perfect. So I always go on, I sometimes go in there. I'll probably do that again tonight, but yeah, I you got to mix things up every once in a while because if I bike too much then I just get bored of it, or if I walk too much then I just get bored of it. So
Yeah.
do the little things. So do you do any biking for your cardio ever?
Just on the stationary bike. Yeah. I've managed to have a fear of road bikes, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, I see so much stuff out here. Like I see owls, I see turkeys, I saw a bear one time that was scary, and yeah. So I, definitely, and I always got to do it at night too because that's when so many people aren't out, and it's just you and So I try to maintain it at those hours, but we talked about it before. But like your shoulders, because that was one area that I remember you said that you were struggling with a little bit, and like they're really getting like ridiculous, and that's the one area that so many women talk about as the hardest thing to grow. What have you been doing for shoulders? Because that's ridiculous.
Oh, thank you so much. I think the last time you asked me about it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's really important for me to, when I am doing my shoulders, that I'm working all sections of my shoulders. That's a really good question because I find a lot of lateral raises work, but if you do them properly, right? So this is gonna stop the contraction. It's like keep drive with your elbows, keep your shoulders up. A lot of people will have that weight way up here, and it's just causing stress on the elbows. So it's like start from the core, get your elbows up, feel it, and then come back down.
So many things start with the core, and a lot of people do not understand that. It's just such a massive part of it where you got to really definitely teach that too. And I mean, obviously, if you're struggling with it, train it more than once a week. That's the advice that I've heard from, so many people on there. But just with the nutrition aspect too, are you still eating the same food, just more of them than you were like a few years ago? Or have you changed up what you're eating as well?
My pre-comp dietary protocol is fairly the same as it has been. If I were to compare now versus when I first started, there's certain foods that I actually can't eat. Like my stomach won't accept it. And it's like it's the littlest thing. I can only eat green peppers. I can't have any other color. It just doesn't sit. Um, there's foods in my off season that I like sorry when I'm prepping for like this show. Like I'll eat lots of cucumbers, I'll eat lots of sweet potatoes. I won't eat cucumbers off season. Otherwise, egg whites versus full eggs. It's kind of keeping it simple. Off season, I won't do egg whites. It just no. But you're prepping for a competition. It's like you learn to love what it takes to get to where you want to be. So I won't bat an eye over egg whites, but after competition, I'm not going to touch egg whites again until I have to.
Yeah, it does get. I mean, I had a thing too where my stomach just got so used to egg whites that like they just didn't. It just didn't like it after a while because I was eating them, almost every day, and that was for like years. And then yeah, it just got to a point where like I can't even eat an egg white right now without just having upset stomach to the max. And it's so I save them for rainy days when I really, really am just craving them, which is rare, like once every couple of months or so. So it's always nice to do that a little bit, in moderation. But you mentioned a 20-minute pump that you do in the morning. Is it hard for you to only do that for 20 minutes? Because for me, once I really get going in any type of workout, it's hard for me to not just push it to the max. Like if I go on a little walk, it's hard for me not to say, okay, let's keep going. Or if I do a little bit of a workout, it's hard for me to not be like, okay, I'm already here. Let's just get it over with.
Good question. Honestly, it's just where I'm at my cycle in my month calendar. So right now, what's important is that I just keep my muscles moving. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to get sore. I got to keep feeding that fuel, feeding that fire, right? So it's all about consistency at the end of the day.
And mentally, as you are seeing these changes happen and you are seeing, the size and everything, how are you dealing with that mentally? I mean, I would be ecstatic personally, but so many people like they just don't know what to do once they really start to see those achievements that they've been working so hard for because it's such a long process in the making.
Oh yeah. I was at a photo shoot last week, and that's my ideal physique. So anything after that, with I had that photo shoot with Dawn. It's drastic changes to my diet, like continuously, right? I did have a little award. I had a cookie and an oat bar. Like you can't have just one, right? So if you're gonna do something, just do it. So anything after that, it's really just about staying focused on the end goal. The leanness of my body isn't something that's appealing to me, but it's where you focus, right? Where that lens is going. So for me, it's just focusing on, yeah, consistency, the bigger picture, and just trusting in that process of like, you can have something else to eat, just not right now. So for now, stay focused, stay goal driven, and um, with respect to my body, no, I don't like the leanness, but it's just kind of what I have to do if I want to achieve my goal. It's only temporary, and that's the beauty of it. It's only temporary.
Yep, and that's one thing that a lot of people, can't accept. How do you deal with that off season though when you're like you said, honestly, I'm glad that you said that because so many people that I talk to honestly don't like that stage look. They just do it like they said just for a goal. They like to look kind of like what you were saying. Most people they say like when they're like 3 or 4 weeks out is when they really prefer their look. But how do you deal with that after show where, you start to put on size and as much as people don't like to talk about it, I mean, the body dysmorphia in the bodybuilding industry or just health and fitness is huge because I honestly think deep down everyone has a little bit of it, no matter what. But how do you deal with that personally? Because so many people struggle with that.
Oh, um, it's where the focus is going, right? Like if you focus on your sets and reps, your end goal, or your goal of the day. I love I love my offstage look, and I'll tell you why. Because I've worked hard on stage and then off stage. So like that reverse diet and then fueling the body, right? Like I indulge. Maybe that's the reason why I'm good at bodybuilding is because I love food And the more the more that I eat and the harder that I work and I get like that mass and those little muscles and stuff, it's part of the process. The body dysmorphia, like that is real. But I just like the work that I've done, and you take a couple moments to be proud of the work that that I've done, and just okay, now carry on.
Yeah, it's important just to realize too that it's nothing's gonna last forever. Nothing. I mean, everything is temporary, especially in this lifestyle. But you had your own show too, where you talk to people. What was that like being on the other side of things and experiencing what it's like to be a host? Because not that many of my guests actually get to experience this side of it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so right before my pageant in Florida, I was approached of Just TV, Just FM. I thought I was being interviewed. So I like got all dressed up, got all dolled up. He's like, actually, I was wondering if you'd like to be a host. And I was like, oh, like I didn't want to say no to this opportunity. Like, what an opportunity. Um, to be not just on screen, but also giving people like you've given to me the opportunity to talk about like the passion, the purpose, and the why behind what we're doing, so other people can see that anything is possible, or here's another perspective in the world that makes you tick. Um, there was a lot of behind the camera work. And that's one thing that I recognize with yourself, especially, is that like you do your research. So yeah, you have a show, but like there's so much like journalism behind it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, to get this like, half an hour or an hour of this screen time. So I really enjoyed that organization perspective. And I enjoyed meeting new people that I wouldn't have otherwise have met, but more especially giving them a platform for them to share their story. Yeah, and just kind of seeing them shine in a way that they might not have otherwise have done it. But like just like you've done for me, I had that opportunity to give back.
Honestly, if I were to add up the total time it takes to talk to the guests, schedule something, get them on, record it, edit it, release it, all that stuff, it's probably around 7 to 8 hours for
Yeah.
each guest. So it's a full day's work really, but I never do that just in one day time because I'm not crazy, because that's just, and the amount of times that people like need to reschedule and stuff like that. Oh my God, it's in the hundreds of times for me, definitely, where it's just like you're waiting and then there's like, oh yeah, I need to do something else. So there's so many little things. I honestly wanted to make a video about that and just explain to people like it's not just talking to people. That is like 10% of it, honestly. Just like, and I equate it to bodybuilding, where people just assume, oh, you just go to the gym and do that. That's 10% of that, really. There's so much more to it. So it's always what goes on behind the scenes that is, the most impactful things. And yeah, I watched a couple episodes of your show. It's really, really good. I recommend it to everyone. Are you going to get back and do it again, or where are you at with that?
Oh, thanks for okay. First of all, thank you for watching. Um, it means a lot. Yeah, it means a lot that the people, my audience actually cares what I'm doing. That's not just muscle building.
Oh my God, no, it's more than I mean, honestly, I only just did this just because I like going to the gym, and then I thought, other people like going to the gym. Let's just hear their stories. But yeah, when it comes to just the muscle building stuff, yeah, that's just a topic really to talk about, honestly.
No, and I love that, and I love that you choose me as like one of your natural bodybuilders. It's my foundation of whatever it is that I'm doing next, right? So that show had given me the ability to do something with all of that work of patience and just really applying myself to who I am as a person versus no talking rules. I loved talking, so that show was really cool for me. It's really special. I had to take a step back to it because personal training just took a priority over it. Like my calendar started to get busy, and then the whole reason why I quit my day job to be a personal trainer is so I can give my clients, the best of me, not what's left of me, and just juggling so much. And it's just something that I needed to take a step back off. Maybe I don't know what the summertime is going to look like when it comes to client coaching demands. So I would love to get back on and just kind of see what else is out there. My shows, I called it Staying Aligned because I loved talking to people about, yeah, what sets their fire and how they overcome barriers to be at their best selves. How cool is that?
That's an awesome topic. Yeah, it's a great way to have a interview, and yeah, it is great, everyone. I do recommend that people do check it out. But is it hard when you have a job where your schedule isn't exactly set in stone week by week, like things change up, or do you prefer it like that?
I think when we come down to it, the principle is having structure versus, every day keeping the same. I can't think of the word, but no, it's just about the structure, right? So staying in a routine. So every morning, full disclosure, every morning I read the Bible, I pray, and then I do the
She
work.
prays for the gains, let's be honest. Yeah, it worked. Yeah.
Honestly, Ryan, since we brought it up, like all my glory goes to God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a great thing. So what do you do after you read the Bible then? Let's go through your morning routine then.
My morning routine after I read the Bible, I just carry on. I make sure I eat my breakfast. And so I don't really journal, but the first thing that I do in the morning is look at my schedule and see what it is that I have to do for the day. And then I go do my work. I travel a lot. Like I'm always back and forth. What's really important for me is that I have my meals. Right? I always have food cooked in the fridge. I'll hardly ever have a fresh meal. But that's just the way it is. So when I know from experience and moving forward that as long as I have my meal prep, I'm gonna be good.
Do you do your meal prep on weekends before, or how far ahead of time do you do your meal preps?
It comes back to that schedule thing. So I will schedule, I have to look at the week, think, okay, what times did I designate for, personal training? When am I available in Calgary? When am I available in Canmore? And then I cook when I can, but it's always a priority. Yeah. Did I get my online ordering, my online shopping done? Do I need a new outfit?
You do the online ordering for food? You don't go to the stores?
No, I was talking more for clothes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, online ordering for food. I mean, I know a few people that do that occasionally, but yeah,
I
no, you got to get your clothes to online. Yeah.
I can do that. I actually love online ordering. There's different meal preps. I don't like I don't like the meal preps that come and it's like, oh, do it yourself. I don't ever use any of those ingredients. Like I'm a simple ingredient girl, and the meal preps that I do order, I'm grateful for because they're already pre-packaged. It's already pre-cooked. You just reheat it. But it's for off season and my really busy scheduled days. Yeah, I can't do it when I'm in prep, and the only reason for that is because sometimes I'll order some desserts, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I'll have these desserts later," but then they're all gone in one day. So to conclude, if it's in the house, it's in my mouth.
Basically, I mean, that's about the kitchen that I had growing up too. Where now it's almost the same exact thing. But you mentioned before being a natural athlete, and I love that because I think there needs to be more natural athletes out there that are promoting it. It's a very tempting sport when it comes to enhancements, and there are just so many times that people just don't understand how prevalent it is. Have you ever been tempted? And even if you have or haven't, I mean, how do you balance that? Because there's so many times where people just look at other people and they don't understand what they've done to achieve that look, and they just think that they're just not good enough. It's hard for people to register just the mass amount of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the sport.
Oh, interesting enough. Okay, so that is a scenario that you're more familiar with than I would be, and the number one reason for that is because of who like the community that I'm involved with, National Physiques and Athletics Association. We're a heart-filled community, so for me to want to go somewhere, like go into a different organization where um, it's such a good question because you see athletes all the time go from this stage to a different stage. So whether it's because they've enhanced or whether it's because they just want to compare themselves to someone who else, otherwise, right? So maybe they're not doing performance enhancing drugs, but they want to compare how they do with someone. What's really important is that why we're doing what we're doing. I don't go on stage to see if I'm better than so and so. I go on stage to see how far I've come and how I can give back to my community and just inspire others. So, no, I have never been tempted, not just because I couldn't afford it, but because it's not a community that, like the community that I am involved with, it's where my heart is. So,
People don't understand the financial aspect of it too. That's one thing that's rarely ever talked about. Where it is definitely not cheap, and there's just one of many reasons out there where I never done it myself, and I don't really have any reason to anyways. Because like I said, I don't even compete. Like the people that do it that don't even compete, I'm just like, okay, well, there's that. There are guys in high school, or I mean in college that I knew did that, and it's like whatever. That's a whole different podcast. It's like 10 hours long of like what are you doing, everyone? But yeah. These days, who knows? And it's a lot more prevalent than a lot of people do understand. But how important is it for you two to do both the beauty pageant aspect and the bodybuilding aspect? Because so many people, especially years ago, I mean, it's changed a little bit now, would never associate like a beauty pageant person as someone who is muscular.
oh, that's a good question. Okay, so fun fact, a lot of which I'm learning throughout the process, a lot of our fitness etiquette is based from beauty pageants. Back in the day, right, like they used to wear the clear heels in beauty pageants. Now they're more of a tan. So I wouldn't have known that if I didn't do a beauty pageant because yeah, you think it's like apples and oranges, but there's so many components in a beauty pageant that you can branch off of to do whatever you want. So I don't know what the question was.
Oh, so how important is it to you to also represent both of them? Because a lot of people just can't picture someone doing both. They would always assume like, oh, you can't be that muscular and be a beauty pageant person, or you can't be, that a beauty pageant person and still be a bodybuilder.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It was really important for me to get into pageantry because of the values and perspectives that being a pageant delegate has. It's so much hard work, but it definitely gives women or men like an opportunity to dig deep, find out what's important, what kind of message that they want the world to see. So there's different lenses really, like so you see what you see, and the reason why I got into pageantry is because I was at a very low point, and this was back in 2020. So of course I'm like, there's got to be more in the world than whatever it is that I'm feeling, whatever it is that we're going through. And I just had the loss of my mother, and it was just and honestly, like God knows, like I do not want to go on another date. Like there has got to be something more to life than this. uh, I got into pageantry because there was a coach. I read her book um, about pageant coaching, and I read her book during fitness competitions. And there's the values of like it's you're not competing against other women. You're trying to be the best that you can be and displaying that. You can inspire. How can you change your community? Improve your communities just by being like who you are and what's in your heart. Um, moving into pageantry, and then I learned that a lot of our fitness components are derived, the fashion perspective even, right, derived from pageantry. So that was really cool to learn. And I remember I was my second year into pageantry. I think I'm in year 4 now. Someone was like baffled. They're like, "Oh, what is it that you do?" And in my head, I'm just kind of like, I do whatever I'm called to do. And I love it. I love the glam. I love the stage and the performing of just like being the best polished version of yourself from all of the hard work, the grind, the self exploration, the making mistakes. All of that beauty is just up on stage. And I think I shine because it's like I give myself an opportunity to reflect back on my last I call them performances because at the end of the day, getting on stage, whether it's a pageant, whether it's fitness, that's the win. Like, you already win. You don't need a crowd to win. You don't need a trophy to feel like a winner. Like, if you feel like you've done the best you can, you're winning. Yeah.
Are there aspects from both things that you incorporate into yourself? Because I think you could take one thing from one of them and just incorporate it into the other. Have you sort of mixed both of them?
Only on Instagram can I mix both because it's like, this is me. So instead of being confined to just a beauty pageant or just a fitness model, it's like, hey, that's Katherine. Like, what's next for her? And one of the main component that's really cool from practicing and self confidence is I can take that anywhere. So the confidence that I display on the fitness stage, I can display it on the pageant stage, and then in return, like in February, I was asked to be part of a fashion show, a charity fashion show. And like I was loved. Like I was loved because of the confidence. I was asked to come back the following year to help the other volunteers with their stage presentation. Like that is the definition of giving back to my community based on all that beauty, right? It's the hard work.
Have you had to change up your posing routine at all since you put on size? You could probably knew different ways to show it off. Have you changed things up at all?
Yes, I love the question, and I'll tell you why. Last May, I wanted a specific title. This title, International Pro Elite Fitness Model. It's the one title I've been chasing for years, 5 years to be specific. And the stage day, like the stage before that was in 2019. So 2019, I displayed myself in the eyes of others as a figure model based on mass and being very lean. And the International Pro Elite card, that's not for figure, that's for fitness models. So in my mind, I needed to display myself to the judges that, hey, you know what? Yes, I did figure once upon a time ago, but today I'm not. I'm a fitness model, and they're different poses. So it really is just, it's that vision, right? Like who can make, the best vision. So have I changed my routine? Yes, absolutely I have, because I want to be seen as in a certain, model. And I really take care of, emphasizing that, like, this is my body. Yes, it's beautiful, great, but it's also an art project. So yeah, so coming up this next stage, my routine is going to be different because I want to be seen as what they're looking for in that specific category. But I'll be doing figure and wellness.
Do you have any plans for anything afterwards, or are you just leaving it wide open right now to see what happens?
This is a pre-qualifier for October.
Okay.
So I'm going for world champion.
Oh, so then you got to do this all throughout the summer? That's the only bummer.
Exactly. So this prep coming up in 2 weeks, I'm only halfway in it. But another reason why I'm like, okay, bigger picture thing. Okay, I want to peak at my best in October. I can't zigzag up and down again. So it was very important for me to push myself, but not to the point of how I have in the past.
Yeah.
I'm going to save that for my October show.
Is that hard to not do that? Because I know a lot of bodybuilders, they just have that go, go, go mentality where it's hard to let up at times.
It's not hard when I have when there's that logic behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, I intentionally was like, okay, I'm not going to cut until I absolutely have to. And that was by 4 weeks out. Right? Yeah, and a lot of people started like 12 weeks, 8 weeks. I'm like, I will cut a week out if that's where my body's at. Like, do not force me to do this again.
How are you even training people at this point in your prep? Like, I couldn't imagine with like all the prep brain or all the things going on. Like, how are you still able to do your job? That's the most impressive thing out of anything that you do, honestly.
I love that. No, because it's my passion. Like, God instilled this passion in me. And that's what makes it easy. It's because it's not work. It's my role in society is to teach others, train others, and help others to feel at their best. that's not easy just because like hormones are just crazy. But I feel like if I can walk the walk, I can talk the talk, I'm more relatable with their struggles, if anything. Yeah.
No, honestly, yeah, to have someone who's going through not the same thing, but like also a struggle as well. Because like, yeah, I hope none of your clients are also like in competition with you and stuff like that. Because that would be horrible to have two people on prep brain trying to train each other. But hey, that happen. I've had couples that do it together, and good God, how they still last, I have no idea. That is just absolutely insane to me. But how do you deal with the attention that you get right now? Like, especially as you're getting leaned down for a show, you draw more people's attention. How do you deal with that?
Very positively. It's a very positive experience. It is. And it really is. It's about sharing my story, where I'm at, how I'm feeling, just being open and honest from the experiences that I had. Right? Like this one's, maybe I'm saying it's a little bit easier, but again, like I just mentioned, like I'm not going as hard as I intend to, after my summer bulk.
Yeah. Well, if she's not even going hard right now and she looks like this, I don't want to even see what she looks like in October, because that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So
thanks, Ryan.
Good God. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Jacket ready.
Hey. Well, hey, and at least you finished right before winter starts. So, you got that time to, at least bundle up a little bit. Because I talk to people that try to do preps during the winter, and it's just like, why would you do that? you get so, like, first of all, your body fat's so low. Like, you get, like, if it's like 50 degrees outside, you'll probably feel like you're freezing to death. So it's just, yeah. And especially when it gets in the negatives up here, yeah, it is just, it's not a pleasant thing to be. But when it comes down to these last few weeks, just where do you find that mental strength from? Like, I know you talked about before, it's because, you love this and you love this journey, but I'm going to be completely honest with you, Catherine, that only goes so far for some people when they talk about, like, there's a certain point where, like, okay, I don't care how much I love this. Like, how do you deal with that mentally?
Where your focus is, my focus is, right? I'm, again, full disclosure, I'm mentally as strong as I am because of Jesus Christ. I ask God to give me more of him and less of me. It makes it so much easier. Taking myself out of the equation when I can listen to what God is ideally revealing to me. This upcoming competition, it is about community. It is about, for me, the community, how I can give back to those who also want to walk this walk of natural bodybuilding. I'm very much in the industry, like I'll do a takeover next weekend, to talk to people about peak week. So like that's exciting for me. Also the focus of what can go right versus otherwise. Like I don't even want to say it, it's such a swear word, right? What can go wrong? Don't even think about it. Whatever your fears is, rip that fears list off. You don't need it right now. Why, and it's kind of going back to that list of like, why did you even sign up? Why did you register? Focus on that. That's what's important.
Well, speaking about the exact opposite of, what you're talking about, I can be somewhat of a vain person. When you're at this point in your prep, how hard is it for you to not walk by a mirror and not do anything? Like, because I can imagine, like, for me, if I was at that look, walking by a mirror and not just doing something, like, it would be almost impossible for me. Yeah, that would be ridiculous. That would be me every single time.
I like to wear long sleeves at the gym. I do. I can't lie to you. Like, I've got these veins that just completely gross me out. Like, don't even put paper near me. Like, I will get a paper cut. I will bleed to
I've
death.
honestly asked that question to people that like the super veiny. I was like, do you ever get concerned that like you could just bump into a table or something like that? And then it could be, and like, they're like, no, because I naturally am not, like, I would have to get down to like negative body fat where like I would like start to see veins because I'm just not a veiny person naturally.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I like wearing the long sleeves and the shirt in the gym, especially when I'm training. And then, because it's like, oh, it's nice that people are looking, but at the same time, I'm like, please don't look at me. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, come to my show. Look at me then.
Yeah. No, it's a work in progress constantly. And Catherine, when we do have you on a year from now, because I'd love to talk to you again, where would you like to be at? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved when we have you on next year?
Oh, good. Just being more involved in my communities. I love being present, being there, and being a familiar face for people when they're experiencing their first competition. I love that, that people can, you know, rely on me as a source of knowledge and heart, really. And that's just it, right? And that's why, like, I know what I know, but I only know what I know. That's why I have, you know, my coach Paul, helping me with this prep too, is because, like, my knowledge only goes so far, and uh my, you know, yeah, the mind will play tricks on you.
Okay, this is a loaded question, but you just brought up your coach, and I forgot to ask you this because it's a new question I've been asking. In your opinion, what makes a coach a good coach? Because everyone has their own definitions on coaches. Like people, it's like being a therapist, where it's just different people need different things. Some people might want a drill sergeant. Other people might want someone who's a little bit more, you know, caring into it. But it differs from every single person. But unfortunately, when trying to find a coach, I believe this because I've heard it so many times that there's more bad coaches than there are good coaches. So it's hard to sort of find your niche of what you're looking for. What do you look for when you're looking at into a coach? What are your things that you personally prefer?
Yeah, so unfortunately, trainers and coaches aren't regulated.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to call yourself coach. And that's great. If you believe in yourself and you believe that you can help others, great, go do what you
No,
can. But
get your damn license first. Come on, let's be honest.
well, no, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as you go on the internet, you know, hashtag coach, it's like, okay, but what qualifies you to be a coach? Um, yeah, I just
That's the one thing that
education.
angers me is the people that do one show and then say that they're coaches then.
I can't talk about that right now because we're gonna have to go into a whole new episode.
No, I know, but I'm just laying out there. So I'm laying the foundation for the next one. I don't. Yeah, we'd be here till it gets dark out. So yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
See, at least we know her reaction to that. So at least we can follow that. Now I know what to ask her the first question the next time we have her back on, and that will go the whole however long the next one goes. Good God.
Okay, we'll carve out lots of time for that. So one of the things that I appreciate in a coach, and that I like, a characteristic that I like to bring to the table, are treating people as unique individuals. You know, being very personable in the sense of getting to know your clients to get to know your client, right? Like, I have certain clients that are sensitive who don't need a drill sergeant. They need a compassionate yet educated coach that I can teach them. There are some clients that I have that are like, you know, and they miss a workout. It's like, why did you miss that effing workout? Like, that's got to be a good excuse. But because that's how they respond. Um, walking the walk, like I said, that I did, having my coach now, um, you look at his credentials, you look at his background, and he knows what's going on. You can ask him questions without the, oh, just because. Like, there's rhyme and reason behind it. And I understand that. I can understand why some coaches will use, it's science, just because I said so, just do it. But there are other clients that are just like, well, if, and this is for myself as well, if I know why I'm doing something, I'm going to have a better understanding. I'm making better choices towards my next step. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so just being relatable and identifying.
The worst response I hate more than anything else is I had an old boss that used to just do, yeah, because I said so. When I asked why we're doing something or why we're doing that, and it's just like, I always hated that when people said that. But I mean, Catherine, we cannot thank you enough for coming back on and sharing your journey with us. I really, really appreciate it. You're always a delight to talk to, and I can't wait to have you on again. And is there anything else that you'd like to say or talk about before we wrap things up?
Yes, thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you for having me on the show today. I'm really grateful. I always love connecting with you, but more importantly, I love having like something to say. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I have to gain experience on my journey before I can actually feel confident being on a camera. Um, I want to thank Chelsea at Kaba Fashions for sponsoring my upcoming suit we're going to see on the NPAA stage. I want to thank Magnum Supplements for being my sponsor. They supply me with lots of fuel, good energy, fat burners. It's phenomenal. And the education behind it as well. I don't just get, free supplements. I get education on why I'm taking this supplement and how it would be beneficial. I'd like to thank Paul Taylor for taking me on. I'm not an easy client, right? the ones, yeah, the ones who have experience are the worst, aren't they?
Oh no, the easy ones are the ones that aren't trying. Let's be honest.
And I want to thank Provida Energy Tea for just constantly believing in me. They are definitely a supporter, and I tell them that I'm going on an adventure, and they're like, "Okay, here's some Provida," and I'm like, "Thank you." And yeah, I love all my friends and family. So
Yep, that is great. And I mean, honestly, everyone, if you haven't checked out Catherine's profile, I'll leave a link to it, and everyone go and check it out. It's a great beacon of the natural community that I really just love to promote on this show, because I think the world honestly needs more of it. But again, Katherine, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, and I really, really appreciate it.
thank you, Ryan.
All right, everybody, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the Spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.